Okay, I'm going to get started this morning by welcoming everyone. Welcome to Wat Tung Yu. Nice to see everyone here this morning. Welcome to everyone who's joining online as well. Today is our group learning program where each Sunday and Wednesday I get together with students to help them understand the path to enlightenment. We use this book as our guide for this program, and each Sunday I give a talk from this book, and then on Wednesdays we get together and do meditation, and then I open up to any and all questions that students have. We also do meditation on Sundays and all of our other days as well, but today it's really just focused on guiding you in a meditation session, sharing a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha with you, and then just really opening up to any and all questions that you guys have related to the teachings of the Buddha. This individual that we refer to as the Buddha, 2,500 years ago, he figured out how to get to enlightenment. What enlightenment is where the mind's completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. This is a mental state that you experience in this life through training of the mind. There's other qualities and other benefits to this mental state as well, which we can talk about after our meditation, but everything the Buddha taught is based in training of the mind. Meditation is an important component of this path to enlightenment and getting the mind to the point where you're only experiencing peace and joy, eliminating all the anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. You can eliminate all of this from the mind through training of the mind. So we're going to start our class with meditation, and then afterwards, as I mentioned, I'll open up to whatever questions you guys have related to the teachings of the Buddha. The way that we start our meditation is we start with some chanting to ease the mind into the meditation. I see many of you guys have these chanting sheets. If you would like one of these, you're welcome to help yourself over there on the cabinet. There's chanting sheets where we're going to be chanting on the way into meditation. It's important to understand that the origins of chanting is that the Buddha used this during his lifetime in order to help his students remember his teachings. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally. This is the way they were able to commit them to their memory and then actually be able to practice his teachings. So you can see from the origins of chanting that this isn't a rite, ritual, ceremony, worship, or prayer, or anything like that. If you're seeing any of those kinds of things associated with the teachings of the Buddha, those aren't the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha didn't teach a bunch of beliefs that you believe a bunch of things and then hope something good happens when you die. Instead, you're learning, growing, and developing in this life to get to a peaceful and joyful mental state in this life. So during his lifetime, they didn't have the ability to write things down, so they used chanting. Every 2 weeks, they would come together and they would recite his teachings, and that's how they were able to commit them to memory. So when we're chanting these nowadays, it's to help us ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. It's kind of exercising the mind, helping you to build awareness of the mind and awareness of the breath. So if you decide to chant these on the way into meditation, you'll see you'll get more benefit out of the meditation itself. If you look at the English translations of these chants, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of that, I don't think the Buddha actually created these chants himself. They were probably created by his students, either during his life or after his death, because the Buddha wouldn't have walked around and said, "Here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me," right? This would be ego or arrogance if somebody did this. By the time you get to enlightenment, you don't think of yourself as being above people, and you don't look down on people. And you also don't put yourself below people, looking up to people with such awe and admiration. You just can understand that everybody is equal. There's not this pecking order in your mind. But if you learn from a teacher how to move from anger, sadness, and frustration, and all these other discontent feelings to this mental state that is peaceful and joyful, and this is a permanent mental state, and this teacher didn't want anything or expect anything from you, they were just helping you out of the kindness of their heart, you might actually have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. And that's why I think that these chants actually came from his students either during his life or after his death. After the chanting, we're going to be in meditation where I'm going to be essentially teaching you or instructing you how to meditate while we're actually meditating together. But then there's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're all meditating at the same time. Everyone here at the temple and anyone joining us online, we'll just all be meditating. Now, during this period of time of quietness, I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds. You might hear a car go by, a dog barking, a bird chirping, someone here might cough or sneeze. You live in an impermanent world, but when the mind craves permanence, you will cause your mind to be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. This is the reason why you can eliminate these discontent feelings out of the mind, because the mind itself is what's causing these. Oftentimes people think that it's the outside world that's causing their discontent feelings. You might think it's your mom or dad that are making you angry, or your brothers or sisters are annoying you, or your boss is frustrating you. What you can see through the teachings of the Buddha in a way that you can independently verify is that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. It's the mind craving permanence. When you live in an impermanent world, things are constantly changing around you. So you're not going to be able to be in meditation where it's going to be completely quiet all the way through. You're going to hear occasional sounds, but those sounds are impermanent. They arise, they change, and they fade away. If you're in meditation with a craving for permanent silence, when you hear a sound, you'll cause your mind to be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. But if you understand the universal truth of impermanence, that you live in a world that's constantly changing, then when you hear that sound, you understand that it's completely normal. So there'll be that period of time of quietness, but I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds during that period of time. Then we're going to come out of the meditation with some more chanting, and then that's where I'll start today's class and just share a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha with you, and then open up to any and all questions that you guys have. In terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would use these different positions at different times as part of your journey to enlightenment. It's kind of like having a tool belt, and you would use these different tools at different times. And in the various courses and retreats that I teach, I help you to understand these different positions. But here today, what I'll do is just help you understand a bit about the seated position, because oftentimes people are learning in the seated position. So I'll give you guys a little bit of pointers on that. But just keep in mind, whatever I share with you, they're just suggestions or recommendations, things for you to consider. What's important is that the body is comfortable, not luxurious, but not painful either. You'd like the body to be in the middle where it's comfortable. So whether it's something that I share with you or it's something you come up with on your own, you can sit however you like, because there's not just one way to sit, because that would be permanence, where we understand all of our bodies are different and we're going to find different things to be comfortable. So you can sit however you like. But if you're on the floor in a chair, you might be on a bench, a sofa, a wheelchair, you can sit however you like. There's a few things that you can learn that are going to kind of maybe be suggestions for you. So for example, if you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This will kind of help soften your seat a bit. If you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you'd like to do that lightly. Whereas if they're real tight, this can impede the circulation in the lower body. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets their hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, allowing the circulation to flow. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together. If this is comfortable for you, you could do this, but it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way. Because remember, that would be a world of permanence where we don't live in that world. We live in a world of impermanence where things are constantly changing. Different people are going to find different things to be comfortable. So some people like to put their palms on their thighs or on their knees. Some people put their palms up. You might even consider putting your hands just comfortably in your lap. So whatever works best for you, you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. And the same thing is true for anybody who's in a chair or a bench or a wheelchair, anything you'd like to sit on. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you can see me sitting in a chair here with my legs crossed. So this is an option for you as well. And then you could put your hands and arms wherever you like. In terms of your upper body, you would like this to be erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back. This is going to help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, because meditation is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you'd like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation, and having your sternum up and your shoulders back will help you to keep your mind attentive and alert. Whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid with the upper body, the mind could be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back, because not only does it keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, but it also makes it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So again, I'm going to do this chanting as a way to ease into the meditation. You guys are welcome to join in, and then I'm going to come back in with the guidance for the meditation. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหะเกวาพุทธังมหะเกวันนังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหะเกวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหะเกวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะเกวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect. Just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเกวาโอตังมหาเกวันนังอภิวาเตมิสวากขาโตมหาเกวตาธัมโมดามังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเกวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาเกวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสคาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภาควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation, once again, welcome to all of you guys. Sawadee Kap. Nice to see all of you guys here this morning. Welcome to everyone who's joining online as well. This meditation is called Breathing Mindfulness Meditation. This is a primary form of training that the Buddha used in addition to other things to move his mind to enlightenment, because this is addressing one of the underlying problems that the Buddha discovered in the mind. Let me explain to you first what the Buddha discovered about the mind, and then I'm going to circle back and help you understand why this meditation is helping you to be able to do this. And then after I'm done, I'm going to open up to whatever questions you guys have. Whether you're here at the temple or you're online, you guys are welcome to ask any and all questions that you like. If you're here at the temple and you'd like to ask questions, we have microphones in the white bowl in the center of the room. All you need to do is come get a microphone, take it back to your seat. You press the gray button, you're going to see the lights come on, and then you just hold it up to your chin and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online as well. If you speak here without a microphone, they won't be able to hear you online, so it'll help them to be able to participate in the class. And then if you're not using this mic, if you could turn it off, that'd be helpful, and you can share it with the people around you. As you have more than one question or someone else has a question, you can share it with them. And then anybody who's online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section. I'll be able to see that. And then you can open up your hand on Zoom by just raising your hand electronically, opening up your microphone, and then we can hear you here at the temple and through the live stream as well. So this individual that we refer to as the Buddha, he lived over 2,500 years ago. And he figured out how to get to enlightenment. What enlightenment is where the mind is completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. The enlightened mind no longer experiences any discontent feelings. There's no anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy, all these feelings in others are eliminated from the mind. And you're doing this through training of the mind, through purification of the mind. The Buddha discovered these 10 individual pollutions that are in the mind, and he figured out the tools and the techniques of how to uproot them and eliminate them out of the mind. And when you do so, you'll experience this peace, calm, serenity, and contentedness with joy. The mind becomes unshakable. It's completely steady and stable. You'll notice that the mind has focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. Because as long as you have these pollutions in your mind, you will lack those qualities. You'll find it difficult to be focused, concentrated, have clarity of mind and memory. By the time you get to enlightenment, you will have harmonious relationships with all the people around you, both personally and professionally. Right now, you might have a certain amount of difficulties and struggles in some of your relationships. And oftentimes what people do is they blame those struggles on the other person. There's a certain amount of bitterness or harshness and hostility in the unenlightened mind. And when you put that out in your relationships, it's going to come back to you. You can see that for yourself, that where you're bitter and harsh and hostile in certain relationships, those people are the same way back with you. And it's very challenging for you to experience peace and joy as long as you've got people that are being bitter and harsh and hostile with you, because as long as you're putting that out, that's what's going to come back to you. By the time you get to enlightenment, you won't even experience a bad mood any longer. It's physically impossible for an enlightened being to experience something like a bad mood. And as I mentioned, this is coming through training of the mind. The teachings of the Buddha aren't a bunch of beliefs of things that you're hoping might happen when you get to death, and maybe there's some better life that's going to happen for you after this life. There's also not a bunch of rules and commandments of things that the Buddha's telling you that you have to follow these things. The Buddha's not telling you that this is the way the world should be. He's explaining to you the way the world is. The Buddha also isn't giving you rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer, and things like this. If you're seeing these kinds of things associated with the teachings of the Buddha, those aren't the teachings of the Buddha. He never taught any rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, or prayer. He's teaching you to understand the world around you. And when you understand the world around you and how your mind works, you can then use that wisdom to navigate the world more peacefully, more joyfully. You can actually train your mind and uproot these pollutions out of the mind. Because when you lack wisdom about the world that you live in, you'll struggle and you'll have difficulties in this world. Just like we did with the natural law of gravity, we struggled and had difficulties with this when we were growing up as a child. And that's why we fell down, we hit our head, we bumped our elbows, we broke our toys, and we cried and cried and cried because we didn't understand the world that we lived in. But slowly but surely, we cultivated wisdom about this natural law of gravity. And that's why we don't struggle with that any longer. We can navigate the world peacefully because we have more wisdom about this natural law. We might say that we awoke, or we have awoken to the natural law of gravity. Awakening is to cultivate wisdom. So we now have wisdom of this natural law of gravity. We don't believe in it. We can see that it's true for ourselves. We're able to independently verify that there it is. There's the natural law of gravity. So we're not believing in this natural law, but instead we cultivated wisdom about it, and now we make wiser decisions related to this natural law because we understand the world that we live in. And these natural laws affect us whether we're aware of it or not. And now we're at the point where we tie our shoes a little bit tighter. We look at the surface of the sidewalk when we're walking. We stop being so giddy and bouncing around as a kid all the time. And that's why we don't fall down and hurt ourselves the way we did when we were a child. And now we can climb ladders, we can ride bicycles, we can get on airplanes and fly all over the world because we fully awoke, or we fully cultivated wisdom about this natural law of gravity. Well, there's other natural laws that are affecting you, whether you're aware of it or not. And you can't believe in these natural laws. You need to be able to learn them, investigate and examine it through the teachings of the Buddha. That's what he's doing, is he's explaining to you these natural laws. Then you reflect on those to independently verify whether they're true or they're false based on your own direct experience. And then you practice the teachings. You integrate this wisdom into your day-to-day life and start making decisions through those natural laws. And this is where you'll be able to navigate the world more and more peacefully, where if you've uprooted the pollution out of your mind will be completely peaceful and joyful. It took the Buddha 6 years to get to this enlightened mental state. Sometimes people think that he sat under a tree, he meditated, and instantly got to enlightenment. And this isn't actually true. You can see through his own words that it was gradual training, gradual practice and gradual progress that led to his enlightenment. And you know this to be true because everything you've ever done has been that way too. Whether it's how to learn to read, write, or speak a certain language, it's been gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. Or maybe there's some job or occupation that you have, some hobby that you have. It's been gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress that you've cultivated wisdom about those types of things. So this work on the path to enlightenment is this inner work, this growth and development as a human being, becoming a better and better human being through training of your mind, cultivating wisdom through gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. The main thing that you're cultivating wisdom about is a natural law called the natural law of karma. You might have heard this referred to as karma. The word karma is from the Sanskrit language, where the word karma is from the Pali language. The original teachings of the Buddha are in the Pali language, so people who tend to study those will use the word karma. What this means is cause and effect, or action and result. If this translated to just one English word, I would use that, but it doesn't, so I still need to use this word karma. This isn't anything mystical or magical. It's not about punishments and rewards. It's not about who's to blame or who's at fault. There's no being who's overseeing this and deciding who gets punished and who gets rewarded. It's essentially a sequence of events that when you make decisions, you will either experience wholesome results or wholesome karma, or unwholesome results or unwholesome karma. And it's based on our decisions, whether we make those decisions wisely or unwisely. And when you lack wisdom of the natural law, just like with the natural law of gravity, we will tend to make unwise decisions, and we will experience unwholesome results or unwholesome karma. And when that's usually occurring in our life, an individual will typically blame it on other things. Someone might say that I have good luck or bad luck, or this is my destiny or my fate, or they might say something about God or some entity called the universe is controlling what I experience, or some people will blame it on others. And as long as you do this, you'll never be able to actually solve the day-to-day challenges that you have in your day-to-day life, because it's not other people or these other things that are causing you to experience anything specific in life. There's no such thing as good luck or bad luck, or destiny or fate. This being of God or some entity called the universe isn't controlling what you experience. And it's not other people that control what you experience. It's your decisions that are leading to any particular result that you experience in your day-to-day life. And you need to be able to see this truth for yourself, because you can't believe other people, but you can't believe me either. You need to be able to cultivate wisdom to see the truth for yourself. So ask yourself these types of questions to be able to see who's actually making decisions in your life and what are the results that you're experiencing. Ask yourself, who chose the location where you're sitting right now? Who chose the clothing that you're wearing right now? Who chose the hairstyle that you have? Who chose whether or not you ate breakfast this morning? Who chose where you live? Who chose your job or occupation? Who chooses the friends that you spend time with? Right? We could go on and on and on. These are all decisions that you're making. And you're making these decisions and then you're experiencing certain results. And when we make decisions wisely, we will experience wholesome karma or wholesome results. And when we make decisions unwisely, we will experience unwholesome karma or unwholesome results. And this is actually very empowering. When you come to understand that what you're experiencing in life on your day-to-day basis is from your own decisions. If there's anything in your life that you don't particularly care for, and you would rather not occur, all you need to do is cultivate wisdom, make different decisions, and you will experience different results. So for example, if I was walking down the beach and the wind is blowing in my face and I'm haphazardly walking and I'm kicking up sand and the sand is blowing back in my face and I'm like, I don't really like this. Well, all I need to do is make different decisions, right? I cultivate wisdom. I'm kicking up sand. This is unwise. Let me stop doing that. And now when I make different decisions, I experience different results. I can walk down the beach and there's no sand blowing back in my face, right? So this is the natural law of karma, of cause and effect, or action and result, a sequence of events. So each one of us, as we're born into the human world, there are certain pollutions that are in the mind that the Buddha discovered that were in his mind as well. And then he figured out how to uproot those. And by uprooting those, he was able to get to this complete peace and and complete joy by the age of 35. Then he spent the next 45 years until he died at the age of 80, sharing those teachings with others to be able to help them understand how to accomplish the same thing. He was a prince destined to become a king, but he stepped away from that life in order to go on this journey to enlightenment. And once he figured it out, he then shared these teachings with other people to be able to help them understand. So back to this meditation and why we're doing this meditation is that what's causing the mind to experience things like anger, sadness, frustration, and others is that the mind has something called craving, desire, attachment. This is the mind's wants and expectations, the longing, the yearning. The mind's chasing after the objects of its affection, wanting things to be a certain way. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. And then when the mind is experiencing those painful feelings, it will typically attribute it to something external. And this is where you might have pushed people away out of your life, like friends or family. You might have pushed them away. This is called aversion. But you can see that that didn't solve the problem because you still get angry, you still get frustrated, you still get annoyed. If this person was the one who is truly causing your painful feelings, when you push them out of your life, you'd be peaceful and joyful from that point forward. Or what we tend to do when we don't understand that these feelings are coming from our own mind is you might be bitter and harsh and hostile to people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. It's almost like an animal growling and roaring at another animal, trying to fear them into doing things your way. Or the third thing that an individual will do is they will tend to put their expectations on people and try to force them or control them to do things your way. This is the mind trying to get its cravings fulfilled. And not only are you maybe potentially doing this in your relationships, but people might actually be doing this to you, where they're pushing you away. They're being bitter, harsh, and hostile to you, and they're putting their expectations on you and trying to control you to do things their way. You need to be able to see this for yourself, that the mind is craving permanence, wanting things to be a certain way. So say, for example, you got a brand new car. And now when you bought this brand new car, you were so proud of this brand new car. You were so excited about it. You drove it to the store and you parked it and you went inside. And when you came out, there was a scratch on your car. Well, if you come out and you see that scratch and you get angry or frustrated or irritated, it's not the scratch that's causing that. And it's not the person who scratched your car. What's causing the anger and frustration there is that the mind is craving permanence, wanting this car to be permanently beautiful, when in reality you live in an impermanent world. It's only a matter of time before this car gets scratched, or the paint's going to fade, the tires are going to need to be changed, the upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. It is going to happen. And if your mind craves permanence in this example, then you'll get happy and excited as long as the car looks nice, but then when the car starts to deteriorate, you'll be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. Or think back to the boyfriend or girlfriend when you guys first got together. You might have been so happy or excited when you guys first got together. Going to the movies, maybe you're having great conversations, you're going to the park, maybe you're going out to dinner, maybe you're having intimate contact with each other, having sex, having all this pleasure. But then over time, the relationship deteriorated. And then when you guys broke up, you might have been angry or sad or frustrated or lonely or bored or missing this person. This is the mind craving permanence, wanting this person to be in your life permanently, where oftentimes people think this is love that causes those painful feelings. But love doesn't cause painful feelings. Love is a genuine interest in seeing others be well. And that doesn't actually cause any painful feelings. It's the mind's craving for permanence that's causing this. So if grandma and grandpa dies, for example, and you're grieving, you're not a bad person. You haven't done anything wrong that you're sorrow and grieving and upset. It's just that the mind craves permanence. And as long as the mind's getting what it wants, it gets happy. It's excited. It feels pleasant feelings. So grandma and grandpa's alive. Oh, I'm getting what I want. I like that. And now the mind is happy about that. But then when the mind doesn't get what it wants, it's craving that permanence. Now this person dies and the mind becomes angry or frustrated or sad or grieving. When in reality, grandma and grandpa had to die. Just like every single one of us. Because we're born, we have to die. It's all that's happened is impermanence. So if somebody gets really happy and excited when it's sunny outside, when it rains, They'll be sad or frustrated or angry. The only thing that's happened here is change. That's it. If your bank account is up here and you get really happy, but when it goes down here, you'll get sad or frustrated. Again, the only thing that's happened is change. And you can see that there's no other person involved. So it's not other people that are causing the mind to be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. It's the mind itself. And you need to be able to see this for yourself. So again, don't believe what it is that I'm sharing with you. Take a moment right here and look at your own life. Look at a recent situation where you've been angry or frustrated or irritated or annoyed. Might have been this morning or yesterday or last week. Look at that situation with these fresh eyes. What was it that your mind was longing, yearning for? What were you craving and desiring and wanting and expecting? And if you would have gotten it, you would have been happy. But because you didn't get it, you were angry or frustrated or annoyed. You need to be able to see this for yourself. And if you have challenges seeing it, let me know when we get to the question period, because there's been plenty of people over the years that need help with this. And you might have some examples where you're having difficulty seeing how it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. Because you might be firmly believing right now that it's other people that are causing these feelings. But you can penetrate into this with enough examples and be able to see the truth for yourself. So let me give you one more example. Remember when we were kids and we got chocolate and ice cream and our parents gave us chocolate and ice cream? We were probably so happy, right? It was like, oh man, mommy and daddy, you're the best mommy and daddy ever. Thank you for that chocolate and ice cream, right? And then maybe the next day we're like, mommy, daddy, can I have chocolate and ice cream? And they're like, sure, here you go. It's like, oh, thank you, mommy and daddy. You're so nice. You're so kind. Thank you so much for this chocolate and ice cream. And then the third day came around and we were like, mom and dad, can I have chocolate and ice cream? And they said, no, you can't have chocolate and ice cream today. You're the worst mommy and daddy ever, right? This is the mind having craving, wanting that chocolate and ice cream, expecting it, wanting it to be permanent. And as long as the mind's getting what it wants, it's happy, it's getting pleasant feelings. But when it doesn't get what it wants, it gets angry and sad and frustrated. So you need to be able to see this for yourself, because as long as you go around the world blaming other people for the feelings that you're having, you'll never actually be able to solve it. So the first step on the path to enlightenment is to understand that it's your own mind that's craving, desiring, that it's wanting and expecting, craving this permanence. It's your own mind that's causing these feelings. That's why you can actually eliminate them. The Buddha didn't go around the world teaching other people to do things his way, and that's how he got to peace. He got to peace through training his mind. So what the mind does in the unenlightened state with craving, desire, attachment is it holds on and it holds on and it holds on and craves permanence. So this meditation that we just did, this breathing mindfulness meditation, is training the mind to let go, to let go, to let go. So the goal of this meditation isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Sometimes when I teach this, people think that the meditation is to eliminate your thoughts. So they think if they had thoughts during meditation, that somehow they're not good at meditation. What you might have experienced is a bombardment of thoughts. Sometimes when people are first meditating, it's like thought, 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 thought. If you experience that, that's normal. Or you might have had a thought and you followed it and you played with it and you looked at it, you indulged in it. And then like 2 or 3 minutes down the road, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm meditating. Let me bring my mind back to the breath. So if you experience these things, this is normal because the mind holds on. It doesn't want to let go. But even the enlightened mind, they still experience thoughts during their meditation, but they notice it right away and they cut it off and let it go right away. So the goal is to more and more easily notice your thoughts and cut them off and let them go easier and easier. Because in your day-to-day life, the mind has difficulties letting go. Think back to that boyfriend or girlfriend when you guys first broke up. You might have noticed that you were angry or frustrated or lonely or bored for a period of time. But at some point, a few days, a few weeks, a few months, whatever it was, your mind let go. And that's where your peace and your joy came back. You were like, you know what? If he wants to live with someone else, he wants to be with some other person, so be it. And your mind let go. And that's where your peace and your joy came back. Or you thought, you know what? If she wants to move to another part of the world, so be it. And your mind let go. And that's where your peace and joy came back. So the unenlightened mind doesn't know how to let go. So that's what this meditation is for, training your mind to let go, let go, let go. So in meditation, anything and everything that comes up, you train your mind to let it go. But in your day-to-day life, you only cut off the unwholesome thoughts, right? So if in meditation, you're training in one way, you're building this internal mechanism to cut off and let go. You're exercising the mind in meditation. And then in your day-to-day life, it's only when you notice unwholesome thoughts that come up that you cut them off and let them go. So if you're thinking about calling up your mom in order to invite her out to lunch and you're going to take her to dinner or something like this, you don't need to cut that off in day-to-day life. In day-to-day life, that's a wholesome quality, practicing generosity. Take your mom out to lunch, take her out to dinner. But if you're thinking about punching your boss in the face, cut that off, right? That's going to cause some difficulties and problems for you if you choose to do that, because that's causing harm to another person. That's the natural law of karma. When you make wise decisions, like based in generosity, taking your mom out to lunch or dinner, you'll experience wholesome results. But when you make unwise decisions, like punching your boss in the face, you're going to have a lot of difficulties and struggles now. That's the unwholesome karma, or the unwholesome results. So you're training your mind to let go, let go, let go. And that's what you're working towards with this meditation. But there's other things you need besides this meditation. There's actually a teaching here that the Buddha shares. I'll just kind of show you a visual aid of it here. I have it right here. That this is the core central teaching of the Buddha. It's called the Eightfold Path. This is 8 individual factors that you're learning and understanding through the original words of the Buddha. And as you learn through the original words of the Buddha, you don't believe those teachings. You reflect on them to verify them, and you practice them to be able to train your mind. So through investigation, examination of the teachings to intellectually understand them, you're then reflecting to independently verify whether they're true or they're false. And then you're practicing his teachings, integrating them into your day-to-day life. And this entire path, when you learn this, will gradually train your mind, moving it closer and closer to enlightenment. And meditation is just one component of that, which is part of right concentration. It's not the entire factor of right concentration, but it's part of this factor. So I'm just going to stop here and see if you guys have any questions on anything I've been sharing, or anything else that you guys would like to talk about, whether it's something you're seeing here in Thailand, something you've seen other places, some personal challenge that you might be having in your own life. You're welcome to get a microphone here at the temple. Press the gray button, that'll turn on and we'll be able to hear you. And then for anyone online, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or raise your hand in Zoom and electronically, and then I'll be able to see that, and you can unmute your microphone and ask any questions that way. So it looks like Terrence might have a question. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. You say, David, that the breathing mindfulness meditation is primarily to learn to let go of these thoughts. So I have 2 questions about that. How to do it, like the best way. And I've had experiences where I have been able, I think, to let go of thoughts. And then what? Enjoy the non-thoughtfulness, or what's the best road there?
Yeah, so this breathing mindfulness meditation, you're focused on the breath. And anytime the mind moves off the breath, you cut that off and let it go and come back. Internally, there's an internal, you build this up internally within your mind, right? So you're building this internal mechanism. So it's kind of like if you had a post or a pillar and these animals were pulling, they say they were tied with a string around their neck, and these animals were pulling. When they got to the end of the rope, they would get yanked back to the post or the pillar. And that's the same thing you're doing. You're sitting there on the breath, and whenever you notice that the mind moves, you internally cut that off and bring it back, right? This is an internal mechanism that you're building where you're cutting off the mind and you're now focusing it back to the breath. You're redirecting the mind to the breath. And now in your day-to-day life, you'll have built up that quality more and more. But it's going to take you multiple months and years to build this up. So when your mind moves off the breath, that's your mindfulness or your awareness of mind, that you notice it. There it is. It moved off the breath. And now when you cut that off and let it go, that's eliminating your craving, your longing, yearning, how the mind longs for things. And then you're getting discipline and control over your mind, because there's the body and then there's the mind, right? The body is the physical structures of the body. example, the brain, right? But then there's this mind, which is non-physical and non-tangible. The combination of these two things we call a person or a human being. So the person is training the mind, and the mind wants to be this wild animal that runs around all the time. But you're saying, no, we're going to discipline you. We're going to control you here, that we're going to bring you back over to this breath. And now more and more you gain this discipline or this control over your mind, so that in your day-to-day life, where you notice with your mindfulness that you're having this unwholesome thought coming up, you cut that off and let it go. So the meditation is helping you to build your mindfulness and your concentration. These are the two wholesome qualities that you're building. And then you're training your mind to let go, so that now in your day-to-day life, you're able to do that more readily, to be able to let go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. Other questions you guys have here or online? No questions? Okay. Yes, you're welcome on YouTube. All right, I don't see any questions. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, I'm just going to end class by thanking you guys for coming. Thank you for your interest to learn and grow and develop. You're welcome to get help to understand the path to enlightenment. If you guys are interested in getting rid of these painful feelings and healing from what hurt you, so that you don't ever need to hurt ever again, that's what the teachings of the Buddha are for. There's help for you here, and it's all available at no cost. If you would like to start with this first book, this is a great place to start. You can get it from our website for free. You can take it and go print it yourself. You can get printed versions here by just reimbursing us for the printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon if your country has access to Amazon. We're going to be restarting our program, which is a 7-month program that we walk through this book chapter by chapter by chapter each Sunday. We're restarting that on January 4th. You don't need to start at the beginning, but we are restarting it from the very beginning, so that's a great place for people to start. We also have courses and retreats. You can see them on our calendar over there. You can also see them on our website. You can come talk to me. We have YouTube videos. We have ability for you guys to be able to get access to books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts, personal guidance, where you can even sit down and talk with me privately about the challenges that you're experiencing. So there's classes and books and ability for you to learn and grow and develop. It's just up to each individual to be able to see for themselves that these painful feelings that you experience are optional. You can opt out of these painful feelings. Most people don't realize that. Most people think that it's normal to be angry and frustrated and lonely and bored and feeling guilt and shame and fear, but you can actually transform all of this. Just like you can opt out of a mailing list on an email list and you're like, nope, I'm going to unsubscribe to you, not interested in those emails anymore. You can do the same thing with these painful feelings. You can say, nope, not interested in experiencing those anymore. Unfortunately, it's not a button that you press. It's going to be gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress, but there's help for you. And if you'd like that help, you're more than welcome to reach out through all of our different ways, and I'm here to help you. So whatever you guys choose to do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. We have other courses and classes that you guys can check out on our website and our calendar, and let me know if you have any questions. So be well and take care. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Zai jian. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.